fam, Chris Kirkpatrick here on Hollywood Raw, and we're discussing some of the most outrageous times I ever had in the band NSync.
What's up, our Hollywood Raw fam? Thank you for joining us on our YouTube page.
Yeah, subscribe to the page, tap the bell, leave a comment, show us some love, and we'll show it to you right back.
I mean, we got to pay our bills somehow. We can get to Chris now. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that sounds great. You have my permission. So Dax, yeah, I totally.
And hey, by the way, I want to just warn you guys. So we started this call with Chris. The audio was terrible because he was inside of like a public gym.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of background noise. So probably like 5 minutes in, we have to ask him to move. So deal with some of the background noise, please. And then it'll get better because he goes to his car and it's silent. So just deal for the first 5 minutes. Sorry about that. But our guest today is singer, dancer, songwriter, music producer, and 1/5 of one of the biggest boy bands of all time, Chris Kirkpatrick.
So Chris, what's up, brother? Thank you for coming on the Hollywood Raw podcast. It's good to talk to you. Where exactly are you in the country right now?
Well, actually, I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville.
And that's home for you right now.
Yep.
What
For the
made
last
you guys?
6 years.
What made you guys go to Tennessee?
No. More importantly, he's at the gym right now. I can hear it sounds like you are right about to get into your workout. I hear the background. Are you at a private gym?
Yeah, I'm on an elliptical right now. I just look really good while I'm doing it.
So, how do you like Tennessee? You know, I'm assuming you went from Orlando to Tennessee, but why was the move? Why the transition?
I think mostly because music, but also because we just got we were over Orlando and we wanted to raise a kid and we wanted to pick the most perfect place to do it, and we picked Nashville, and it's been amazing. And I got it'll be 4 in October, that was born and raised here, and it's been, it's a dream come true for him. He's got all the farm animals he ever wants to see. Mom and dad have bars when he gets out of control,
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Well, do you guys have animals yourself?
Just a dog. And my wife will say me, but yeah, so just a dog and me.
So what have you been doing? Obviously, you're still, what have you been doing lately? What have you been up to? How's the summer going? What's new in the life of Chris?
I still do a lot of production, especially in Orlando. I was doing tons of music production, and here I do a lot of. The best thing about being here is it's so centrally located that, I can fly wherever I want and get there in no time. And so I still do a lot of hosting, performing. We actually been working on this band. It's me, Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees, AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys, and it's called All the Cool Kids. And, we still do some new music and performances. So still trying to stay busy, stay out there.
That's awesome. That's great to see. So you're in Tennessee. You just came from Orlando. Oh, you're in Nashville. You're in Tennessee now. You were in Orlando. That's where Orlando basically got your start because you graduated high school. Where'd you graduate high school?
No, I actually graduated high school in Ohio. I'm from Pennsylvania. Yeah, from Pennsylvania, moved to Ohio. But right after I graduated, I went to college in Orlando and basically lived in Orlando most of my life. So I still consider Orlando home. My mom and my sisters are still there. So
I read that you moved to Orlando to actually connect with your biological dad, which I thought was interesting. Why is that true? And then if that is true, why then, after graduating high school, did you decide to kind of connect with him?
Well, he lived in Orlando, and as soon as I graduated, I knew I didn't want to stay in the Ohio area because, like I said, being from Pennsylvania, I went to high school in Ohio, and I just, it wasn't for me. It was just I wanted to get out, and he was in Orlando, so I was like, hey, I'll come to Orlando. So also I went to college there, and it worked out great, and him and I reconnected, and we stayed in touch obviously over the years, but it was great to go down there and really reconnect with him.
Now, one of the other stories that we were reading about was that you actually used to work, like before NSync and all that, you used to work at SeaWorld and Universal Studios. The question is, all right, which park was better to work at?
Well, considering what I did at SeaWorld, definitely Universal. Because when I was at SeaWorld, I was doing school full time. I worked at Universal as well. I worked at SeaWorld. And then I also worked at the Outback. So I had 3 jobs, full time school. But the SeaWorld gig was the picture taking people in the front. And in
Like right when people come in,
August,
you snap
yeah,
them.
oh yeah, that was me. That was 1000% me. And then the funny thing is, after you do that, you have to sell the mugs or the little keychains that you look through and see the picture in afterwards. It was just, I mean, hot, and I'm not a good photographer, and it just wasn't for me. But when I was at Universal, it was singing 50s doo-wop, so that was perfect. I loved that.
Yeah, I
So
feel
I'd
like
have to say
I was just
Universal.
I was just at Disney Universal, and it's great. It's a lot of theater people kind of performing, and it's great. It seems like a great gig, and it's fun. And that's where, obviously, things start to turn where you met Lou Pearlman. And how did you first get connected to Lou? Was that through AJ or?
No, 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 no. So I met Lou through a buddy of mine, Charlie Edwards, and without getting too deep into the crazy story, when I was at Valencia College, I was in class with Howie D from Backstreet, and I was doing quartets and all that stuff, and he came and got this guy Charlie out of one of my quartets, and so Charlie ended up in the Backstreet Boys, later quit, and then called me and said, this guy Lou is still looking for, more guys to do another band with. So Charlie introduced me to Lou, and then that's kind of how I started the band through that. So I knew Howie before I knew
That's right.
basically any of the guys in my band, and he knew any of the guys in his band.
Is there anywhere else you could move to? It is so loud that it's almost hard to hear you.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go in my truck. Would that be? Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
You're
They're like, you're leaving the gym? I'm like, yeah, that's right.
good. You're like, that's it. I just worked out. I'm done.
This is good.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
No, you're
worries.
good. All right, we got Chris moved to his truck because everyone in the gym was trying to disrupt our podcast over there, but being all loud and shit in the background. Thank you for moving, Chris.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that.
No
You're
worries.
good. You're
Move my
good.
hand.
So, your friend who introduced you to Lou, who is the original guy in the Backstreet Boys, did he regret, like, obviously after when the Backstreet Boys kind of blew up, did he kind of go through his head like, man, I screwed up, I messed up with that decision?
I mean, I never really talked to him about it, so I'm sure it had to suck, being like, in the Backstreet Boys. But I mean, everything he did, he always said like, I had a problem with this guy, and that's why I'm quitting. And when he introduced me to Lou, he was kind of helping me start the band, and then he decided that it wasn't going anywhere for a while. Like there was a lot of times, like I said, I had a couple jobs, and I was, working full time, had school. So I'd be a little late to things sometimes. And I was always trying to arrange the music, like while I was at school, getting in trouble. And so he kind of was like, it's not really going anywhere. So he went off and did something else and left me, to bear the burden of putting the band together. So I don't think he has regrets. I mean, I hope he doesn't, because he's a great guy, and he was always a really good friend. So, but for the most part, I mean, he probably has internally, he probably has some, but
Sure.
for the most part, I don't think so.
Like we've all heard the horror stories of Lou Pearlman and the stories that have made the news and everything. But like, if you could do it all over again, would you still go down the same path? Because he clearly knew what he was doing to get you to a certain level, even though there was so much darkness surrounding his management.
Well, I think I'd be stupid to say no, because he did get us where he was. Now to me, the main thing about Lou Pearlman was it wasn't us. He screwed us out of money, but at the same time, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we were. And what did he screw us out of? 10% or 20% of what I've ever made, which is fine, considering, just write that off as every band goes through it in their first contracts, and you always have, kind of crummy deals. But, to me with Lou, it's mostly the other people that he screwed over. It's mostly the people he took their life savings, and upsets me because there's been documentaries and stuff out there where it's like, hey, listen, don't feel sorry for us. We're still okay. We're not living day to day. I'm not having to worry about where my next paycheck's coming from. We were in a really successful band. I've got 4 really good friends out of it. So I'd say don't. It's not me that I feel bad for. It's the people that have nothing now because of what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was like, I'm just curious, what kind of guy, besides the financial stuff, like what was he like as a person?
He was a great guy. I mean, really nice. Always, took care of us. Always made sure that, he had money. So it was like every time we'd ever go out anywhere, you didn't have to do the fake reach for your wallet to pay for it. Especially when, I was a struggling student with no money and all those jobs. He'd make sure we were taken care of, and so for the most part, he was a really, really, loving and trusting guy. But there's that one part of him that wasn't, but we never saw it. He was definitely a guy that was, to your face, the nicest guy you've ever met. Now, how he was to you, to other people, was a lot different. But to us at least, and especially to me, to my face, he was always, really genuine and really nice. So in that side of it, I have to say he was, a pretty good guy.
So then you guys start NSync. Obviously, everyone knows how incredibly successful NSync becomes. But like, what was the moment when you guys had started that it started picking up steam, and you're like, "Holy shit! Like, we made it! Like this is a success!" Like, what was that moment for you?
It's kind of tough because there was so many of those moments. There were so many times where we, in the beginning especially, we worked, and that's all we did was work. And it was great because I ended up quitting my jobs because it was all about rehearsals. It was all about the next show we were going to do or what we were going to do. And it was such, when you hear these overnight success stories and things like that, they're never overnight success stories. And these were definitely, started this slow rise of every week something different would happen or something big would happen. And it really was so gradual that I think the only big moment that we really had was after we did the Disney special that we blew up in the States. Because even in Europe, it started out, we were doing small shows, in front of a couple hundred kids, and it became, more than a couple hundred, became 800-900, then it became a couple thousand. But it was Europe, and it just was so foreign to us that it didn't seem real. It just felt like we were this European band that was being successful and doing all these things. And it wasn't until we did that special that we blew up in the States. And once we blew up in the States, that's when things started to go, wait, we're going to be on the Tonight Show, or we're going to be playing with this artist. So that I'd probably say if I had to pick a moment, that would be the moment.
So, but you were the one who discovered and really put together a group. Like Lou Pearlman, obviously financially kind of supported you guys, but you were the one who kind of found the talent. From when you guys first started to once you started to get immediate success, how long was that period? Like, did you guys hit very quick, or did it take a few years until you guys started to really get some traction?
From the time that I met Lou, it took a while. It took a long time. I mean, it was years of, struggles and guys quitting the band, coming back into the band, because I actually recorded the first demo with 4 other guys, and 2 of those guys are the guys from C Note. They were in the band C Note.
Yeah.
And so we had another band all together. One of them was kid, John Rodriguez, who's in our city now, and his brother's Luis Fonsi. So
Okay.
there was a lot of guys would come and go, and and it was just dragging on, and it just felt like it was never going to happen. But I just always had this feeling, and it was one of those things that I just kept saying, I'm going to push for it. I'm going to keep making it happen. And, I remember a time where it was basically only me left in the band, and I, struggled with just forgetting about it. But I said, no, I'm going to keep working at this. I'm going to find the right group of guys, the right band to bring to them. And, thank God it happened. And I was so blessed that it fell in the way it did.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean,
So
was it just so I think about that and like the progression of going through different members. Now, once you guys all got together to like the final version, obviously, did you feel like there was magic there, or like you still had reservations? Like, is this going to work? Is it just going to be another set of guys that I have to cycle through?
No, I think once it was me, Justin, and JC were in the band. And once it was the three of us, I knew that we had a solid group. And, whether or not we had the two more guys in it or not, I knew that we had a really good core. And then once we ran into Joey, and Joey became a part of it, because the four of us were actually a band for a good amount of time, maybe a year and a half before Lance got in the band. And even with those three guys, I knew we had a solid group. But once Lance got in, it just rounded it out, and it just made sense. And so I think from the first day that I met Justin and he brought in JC, I knew that we had something special.
yeah.
Cool.
So when you look back, what based on, let's just say, chart wise and the numbers, what was your guys' most successful song of all time that you guys did?
Oh, Bye Bye Bye. I mean, that was
Bye Bye Bye.
that was that was probably by far the most successful, because that was the one that broke us out with our the huge record that we had with No Strings Attached. And it really it's still that's the one that I can tell you still resonates now, because I always make a joke that I wish we would have written a song called "Hey Chris, here's $100," because every time I'm anywhere, it's the big joke. If I'm leaving somewhere, I'm like, all right, see you guys later. Somebody's like, hey Chris, bye bye bye. Like, hey, isn't that funny? I told him bye bye bye. And I'm like, yeah, that's freaking hilarious. Never heard that in my life. That's perfect. But yeah.
You know what I wonder? Like for an artist like yourself who has performed a huge song like that, I got to imagine you guys perform that thing hundreds and hundreds of times. Does it ever get old performing thousands of times? Does it ever get old performing a song like that? Even though it's a hit and everyone loves it, does it get old?
No, not really. I mean, it's that's the signature song. You try to change it up a little bit and make it a little bit different, but I mean, you don't really. I think we all knew what our bread and butter was. I think we all knew, the song that really made us who we are, and the song people want to hear. So you can't be like weird about it and go, oh, we're not going to do that one anymore, or we're tired of this song. By the way, I like my little Buzz Lightyear in the back seat there.
Yeah, I was
I saw that.
When you first
cool.
got in there, I was like, someone's sitting in your car seat.
Yeah, somebody's staring at me. Yeah. No, I left my kid in the gym. That's fine. But yeah, so Bye 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 is definitely, it was always fun to do. I still perform it to this day. I'll get out, and if I'm hosting shows or different things, it's always the most requested. They want to hear Bye Bye Bye, and I'm like, well, I can do other ones too. There's other songs we have, and they're like, no, do Bye Bye Bye.
But what was there a song that it's hard because Bye 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 was a great song, but was there one song that you guys did where you're like, fuck, this song should be like really seen as a very respected song, not just a pop song, but just a great song lyrically, musically? Was there one song that you guys did where like you felt like it should be up there and just kind of respected more, some like a classic song, like I'm not comparing it to Stairway to Heaven, but something along those lines, like a beautiful song?
I mean, I always really liked Girlfriend. Uh, I actually really liked Pop a lot. I thought that song was, I think the Pop, It's Gonna Be Me, Bye Bye Bye, those songs were like our bread and butter because those were the ones that we came out and didn't just do like adult contemporary songs. We didn't just do ballads. We got out there and you know, blew songs away. It was like, this is what we're gonna do. Let's get out there and just be aggressive. And that's why I came up with Dirty Pop, because I was like, what we're doing isn't really pop, because pop at the time was so bubblegummy, and our type of group was so bubblegummy and clean cut. And I was like, it's a little bit raw, or it's a little different. It's like, more dirty than that. And that's how I kind of conceptualized Dirty Pop, just because it's the fun up tempo, make you move kind of music, and all those songs are what we love to do. So any of those up tempo-y, songs, I really think were up there with Bye Bye Bye.
So if Bye 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 came on the radio right now, do you remember all the choreography for the dance that you guys did for each performance?
Sure.
Not a chance.
No, I mean, I've done it enough where I know most of it. I could do most of it, but there's songs that I listen to and I see these kids on like YouTube recreating the dances and stuff. In fact, there was actually a time where I was doing, I want to say it was No Strings Attached or something, for a TV show. And they said, yeah, can you teach the choreography to the person? And I was like, oh, crap. So I had to go on YouTube and watch these kids doing the choreography to relearn the choreography and do it again. So there's still muscle memory involved, but there's also 20 some years involved of not doing those numbers and not dancing. I mean, obviously I'm at the gym, so I'm not dancing like I used to. I'm trying to, work back into that kid shape, but they're so intricate. And especially that when we did the shows, we did so many versions of it. And, we do like the Blockbuster Awards, and they're like, okay, brand new choreography for this song, we're going to redo. And I'm like, oh, crap. I just got the original down. Like, now I got to relearn it and do it again. So there's a lot that I could do, but there's a lot I probably forget.
I'm just picturing if those kids knew that you were having to relearn the choreography from them, how much they would lose their minds.
Yeah, I thought about the same thing. I'm like, I wish I could text these guys and go, hey man, thanks for reteaching me the choreography.
So. And again, at the time, obviously TRL was around, and music videos had the insane budgets, which we don't really see. Music videos right now are kind of done just for YouTube, or but you guys had these insane budget videos. Looking back, what was your favorite music video did? And then which is the one that you wish you guys could kind of do it over again?
Definitely the ones I wish we could do over again. One of them we actually did over again, which was our first ones, like I Want You Back and Tearing Up My Heart. I Want You Back, we had to do two versions because we have a European version, which I probably shouldn't have just told you. But we have this weird European version where we're all in like these skin tight shirts, and it's in front of a green screen and it's outer space. And it was done cool, but I mean, it was done like graphics from 1995 and, kind of cheesy, whatever. Not that our videos weren't cheesy anyways, but those two are probably the ones I'd want a redo on. And the one I love doing the most was It's Gonna Be Me, when we dressed up as the fake dolls, where we were in prosthetics for like 8 hours just to look like the Duracell people from the old Duracell commercials. And it was just cool because, it was this giant budget and we were supposed to be these toys. So rather than, trying to shrink us to make us look like toys, they made everything bigger and made it look like, we were normal. I mean, we were small, but like they put a life-size VW Bug in a box to make it look like a little toy car, and, giant shelves from store that we got to rappel down. So that shoot was a lot of fun. Not the prosthetics part, that was a lot of work, but the rest of it was a ton of fun.
So you've mentioned Europe a couple times here. What's the like? How does it touring compare in Europe versus the U.S.? Because I know that like during that time it was kind of crazy everywhere. But what is it like being an artist on stage in Europe versus U.S.?
Oh, it's a whole different beast. I mean, when we were over there, I remember, especially when we do the smaller shows, Europeans would bring out stuffed animals, and they'd write their name on them or write "Hey, I love you" on it, and then they'd toss it on stage like, "Oh, he's gonna get this," which was great. But we were doing so much choreography, and there's like 300 stuffed animals on stage. You're twisting your ankle, you're falling over things, you're in between songs. We'd actually have somebody come out with a broom and just sweep all these stuffed animals, to the side so we could perform again. But they were really, not that Americans weren't passionate, but in Europe, they were really passionate. And especially because, we were kind of their babies. Like even after we broke in the States, they're like, oh, we knew them, way back when they were doing this song and this song. And so they were really, I guess, bought into us, and, we bought into them. So they were always got little toys, always got like all sorts of things. And they'd sleep outside the hotel rooms. I mean, everywhere we go, there'd be like, sometimes a couple hundred kids all camped out outside the hotel room just to say hey, or just to, get an autograph or a picture. So that was crazy. And chase the vans and chase the buses. And it was definitely a crazy learn experience. Because when we got here and it wasn't as bad. Yeah.
But what happens to all those like stuffed animals and cards and things that fans would like try to get to you guys? Did you guys ever get to see that, or is it just like it gets brushed off and who knows where it goes into a void?
No, we have about 6 warehouses that are still full. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, oh damn.
Could you imagine? It's just when we want to go reminisce, we go to these giant warehouses and do angels and all the stuffed animals and go, isn't this fun? No, a lot. We donate them. We donate them to charities and, a lot of kids foundations and things, give them the stuffed animals. So, there's a lot of stuff we kept over the years. I mean, there was a lot of cool things we got. We'd be in Germany and I'd get a piece of the Berlin Wall or, different things like that. So there's a lot of things we kept, but most of the stuffed animals and the crazy stuff we donate to charity.
So again, at that time, you were on TRL. TRL was the biggest show. I mean, I'm in the tri-state area. I'm in New York City now, and just seeing the crowds outside TRL. How much did TRL matter to you guys at that time? Because it was a big part of your guys' success. You're getting the TV time, and they were making a whole TRL episode around you guys. Was that, I mean, what was going on through your mind when you were going on TRL? Was that the biggest thing for you?
Well, you got to remember, TRL was like the YouTube of our generation, and that was the internet wasn't as it was out, but it wasn't as big, and you couldn't go
powerful
find everything. Yeah, you couldn't find every video, everything about the band you wanted to find out. So when MTV launched TRL, I think they were kind of doing it as we understand there's all this pop going on right now. I don't even think MTV knew how big that would affect everything. I mean, funny you said that. I was just looking at this thing on the internet the other day about TRL, and it was like top 50 worst dressed on TRL. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely got to be making this list or something. And thank God I didn't. But there was even one time where they had Joey and I host TRL. And when we were looking to figure out what we were going to wear, I grabbed these pajamas and I'm like, let's just host it in our pajamas. So I thought that was on there for sure. But, it was such a big moment. It was such a big thing for, kids and their opportunity to see their favorite artists or to get new information on what they were doing, that, TRL just exploded. And it was the perfect storm. All this pop music out at the time and TRL at the time. Whoever came up with that
again, I think they didn't know how big it was going to be, but what a genius move to have, because it was the voice and the picture of basically our generation.
No, absolutely. It was huge. I mean, God, I wanted to be Carson Daly. Like that was my, like, I just watched him like, this is the greatest gig of all time. Just hang out with all these awesome musicians, host this incredible show. Really was the best job on the planet. You know, we were just talking about some of the merchandise, like the stuff that came out from NSync, and merchandise was a huge part. Do you still have any of the old, like, lunch boxes and figurines and all that kind of stuff that came up when NSync was just everywhere?
Yeah, I have a closet in my garage that has like a board game, VHS tapes, CDs, things that kids now look at and poke with a pencil and go, "What is this? I don't get this." But yeah, there's still a lot of shirts and stuff that I have from back in the day. Hit clips. We had hit clips, which was kind of a big thing at the time. And so there's a closet I have of a bunch of that stuff. But besides for that, I mean, we re-released merch in the last couple years, so it's been awesome to have new shirts. And I was just told, we went to my kid's induction today at school to meet his teacher and everything. One of them was like, "Yeah, I saw your wife in the mall the other day and she had on an NSYNC shirt." And I'm like, "Yeah, I tell her try not to wear those, because especially if I'm with her, I'm like, can you not wear the new merch? I'm standing right here." Like, it's kind of embarrassing. I feel like you're a super fan, or I'm like, "Hey, look, babe, you got to wear this out so everybody recognizes me."
Yeah.
But yeah, there were things that we had to, I still look at and go, how do we have a clock or sheets or lunch boxes or things like that? And it's kind of overwhelming to see all the stuff we had.
You're a father now. Does some part of you just hope or sort of wish, like, when your kid grows up, they realize how big and how successful their father was? Because again, you were a big part of a lot of people's lives, and your kid doesn't even know. The kid only knows you as dad, but does part of you want them to know, like, man, like, I was fucking crushing it for a good amount of time?
I mean, there's that ego part in you that wants that and whatever, but like, my kid's about to turn 4 in October, and he doesn't really, he doesn't understand any of that, to the point where, most of our friends are local news, weather people, or, of course, some celebrities, and he sees TV all the time, and he's like, "Oh, there's Neil. Oh, there's Uncle Justin. Oh, Daddy, we had that Progressive commercial. You're on TV again." And it's just like, he's just like, "Yeah, everybody's dad does this," or every kid should know that. We were just in Montana, and we were visiting Justin, and he's messing around with Justin, and I kept going, trying to explain to him that he was in a group with me, and he's like, "Yeah, that's cool, but it's just Uncle Justin." Because everybody says that, and they like, that's a thing that they always say to me, which is funny. They're always like, "Hey, listen, I really don't care who you are. Like, you're my friend. I don't care that you're in a band." I'm like, "Yeah, but I probably wouldn't be your friend if I wasn't in a band." But with him, it's honest and it's earnest, because he really doesn't get it and he doesn't know. Even when I say, I'm like, "Yeah, but that's Branch from Trolls," and he's like, "All right, so, like, of course that's Branch from Trolls. That makes sense."
Uncle
And
Justin is
Dad,
Branch.
and
He's
Dad,
like, I don't get it.
yeah, and Dad, you're Chip Skylark, duh. And I'm like, yeah, but that's cool. Like, right? Isn't that cool? Yeah, he doesn't care.
But he's never asked, like, why does everyone want to keep coming up and taking pictures with you? Why does everyone know who you are? Like, there's got to be a day that he finally clicks in to be like, why does everyone know who my dad is? That'll be kind of funny.
Yeah, when that day hits, that definitely will be funny. And I think it's close, because he questions everything now. But I think he's still, at the point where he's like, if I were walking in and I saw my dad, I'd go up and want to take a picture with him, because he's my dad. So everybody else wants to take a picture of my dad, and I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works.
So, but here's the thing: NSync never really broke up. Like, you guys are still obviously a relationship. It was no, you guys kind of just stopped making music together. How did that come to that conclusion? Whereas, like, guys like Justin's like, I'm gonna do solo stuff, or how did you guys reach that point?
No, there was a time where we just got a little burnout, and it was just like, every day, and we all had something we wanted to do. It wasn't just Justin. Lance was doing his astronaut stuff, and he wanted to go to space, and Joey wanted to start doing some Broadway stuff, and JC was going to do a record, and I like to party. And no, but we all had. I was doing production, and everybody kind of had side hustles that they wanted to focus on for a minute, and we started focusing on those, and those just took everybody away. And of course, Justin blew up, and JC's record did great, and Lance, still started working on more. I don't know, was doing the astronaut thing or whatever, and then Joey was doing some movies and stuff. So we all kind of just started doing our side projects a little more, and then it just became, well, we don't need to all go back together and do it. Although I do have a lot of regrets about that, in that, I wish something would happen for the fans mostly, and gone back and said, we're going to do one tour, and this is our last tour ever. So if you want to see us, come see us. If not, no big deal, whatever. But this is definitely our last tour. We kind of left everybody just hanging, since we didn't really break up or anything. But that's the only regret about everything I really have.
Yeah, farewell tour would have been pretty cool. I mean, listen, it is what it is. How long did it take you to do your hair back in the day? I want to know that. Like the braids, the dreads. How long was your hair experience?
At first, when I first started doing, it was real dreads, and they didn't stay in very well. So I'd have to do them like once before every show or before anything we did. And then it became, once I put the braids in, it was like I'd have to maintain them a bit. But when I put them in, there was hours and hours, and that's why I finally took them out. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I thought it would be cool, but I also thought, this takes too long. I don't like to do my hair or make myself up anyway. So why am I taking so long for just these braids, and kind of just cut them off? But it took a while. It took a lot of maintaining, just to be the pineapple head was a lot of work.
Yeah. What was your craziest, I mean, this is probably a question you get all the time, but what was your craziest fan experience? Like the one, like you said, you had people sleeping outside the hotel rooms, but what was the one that was like, holy shit, like this is getting kind of dangerous or scary?
Well, they were all pretty much in Europe. That was when it, since those fans were so passionate and everything, most of the crazy stories were in Europe. And, there were times where kids would jump on the conveyor belts in the airports to get through, hiding in your hotel rooms. Like somebody would let them in somehow, and they'd be hiding. I still to this day have weird flashbacks. Anytime I go to a hotel room, first thing I do is push the shower curtain back just to make sure nobody's hiding in there.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of chasing down the buses, hiding in luggage, mostly just hiding places and jumping out and being like, hey, freaking out when they saw you, or because a lot of times it's so uncontrollable. They just freak out so bad they don't know what to do, and they just scream and like grab you and rip at you, and you're like, that hurts, like don't do that. But it's really, there's a lot of, I don't know if there's really one in particular. There was actually an incident we had where it was in the States though. We were playing in Atlanta, and a mom had turned her son in because he was going to kill us on stage, and he had the whole plan, like what backstage looked at, where all security was. He had a gun, all these crazy things. So stuff like that really makes you think, like, was this all worth what we were doing, for people to be like this, or would we rather just have been, in obscurity and just made music and hidden?
Wow, that's scary, man. I had never heard that story. That's really scary
Yeah.
story. Thank God she turned her son in. Holy crap. Do you think boy
Yeah,
bands
can you imagine?
No, crazy. Do you think boy bands will kind of always be a thing? I mean, I feel like once or twice a decade, a really big band comes around. Obviously, like right now, BTS is like one of the biggest
BTS.
bands on the planet, and there's like 400 members in there. But do you think boy bands will always be a thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the need for them. There's always the, and the thing that I say is they always have to be better, because if they're not better, you could go back to what you had, and they have gotten better. One Direction to me is ridiculous. I mean, those guys are so talented. There's so many, they've all got solo projects. BTS is really talented, and those kids, dance like we danced, and sometimes even better. It almost looks robotic. They're so good. So, there's always going to be that need and that niche for them. It's just like rock music, rock bands. There's always going to be a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player, and a singer, or throw in a keyboard player or whatever. But there's always going to be that formula that works out, whether it's 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys, 8 guys, whatever it is. There's that formula always seems to work. So it's always going to be there. And yeah, I think they're not going away anytime in the next probably 100 years.
Are the residuals from NSync still good? Like, do you even really need to really work, or like how does that, could you live off still NSync?
I mean, yeah, you could. I mean, I could live off of NSync, but I also have a kid that you want to do certain things for, and it's like, what's living is just having food, okay, or just having a house, okay, or just being able to go on 1 vacation a month, okay, or 5 vacations a month. And plus I enjoy what I do. Like I love performing. I love meeting people. I love traveling, and so I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop anytime soon. But as for financially, of course, we made good money, and it was definitely financially worth it. So there's no I'm not struggling. I'm not living day to day. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to sleep tomorrow night, worry about where my kid's going to sleep or go to school. So for the most part, we did okay.
Obviously you guys were really close with Britney back in the day. Is it hard to watch all this coverage and focus on her life all the time now? Like, I feel like every time I turn on the TV, it's like, what's Britney doing today? Where's her conservatorship at? Like, is it tough to watch someone that has been your guys' close friend kind of deal with all of this?
Not now. When she was going through the crazy stuff, years ago, that was tough. But, now it's just dealing with getting her money and getting, what she should have, and taking care of herself. I wonder in the future, I hope that she's going to be fine, and things are going to work out for her, because I love her to death. She's like a sister, and it was really hard seeing her going through all the tribulations that she went through in the first place that warranted getting the conservatorship and everything. But now it's like, now she's in a better place, that I know that she's going to be okay. And once she finally deals with, all this, and gets out of it, that she's going to be fine.
I feel like, I don't know about you, Adam, but I feel like I can see this like sense of weight lifted off her shoulders when just on Instagram. I mean, you can tell in the way she like types that it's like, she's like, I can finally, like, I'm not chained into my, what I'm supposed to say or what I have to do or pictures I have to take. Like, I mean, listen, she's been posting like a bunch of topless photos recently, but it's just like her feeling like I don't have to follow what I'm being told anymore. And that's kind of a nice freeing feeling, I got to imagine.
Yeah.
Well, and it is crazy too, because in the pop world, at least speaking, for what we went through, I can tell you that when we took our break, there's a time where you realize how much control you've given up and how much control you don't have anymore when, you know, you stop doing something and suddenly I'm not getting the schedule underneath my door anymore saying 7 a.m. be here, 9:30 we've got this, then be here by 10, 11:45, and having your security go, okay, I'll meet you in your room at this time, walking you everywhere you have to go. And then suddenly it's like, okay, go have fun. And you're like, doing what? Like, what am I supposed to do? Where's my schedule? Where's my itinerary? What do I have to be at? What do I have to do? And, you know, with her, it got so difficult. And being a solo artist is so much different, you know, than being in a group, because being in a group, you've got, at least I had 4 other guys to talk to and say, hey, this is what I'm going through right now. And they're like, shut up, don't be an idiot. Or, you know, hey, let me help you with that, or let's get this worked out right. Whereas you're solo, you're like, nobody else knows what I'm going through right now. It's just me. So I have to deal with this. And with her, you know, I'm praying that everything works out okay, because she is such a great person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How often do you and the rest of the guys NSync get to like hang out? Obviously you guys have a lot of stuff going on. You're all living around the country in different places. You have families, but how often are you guys able to kind of reconnect, see each other, hang out?
As the 5 of us, not that often. Like maybe once a year, maybe, you know, once in a blue moon, it's the 5 of us. But, you know, groups of us hang out, or, you know, I see Justin, I see JC, I see Lance, I see Joey. You know, so individually we kind of all have our friends that we still kind of keep in contact with, and, you know, FaceTime, call, visit in person. But as the 5 of us, it's very rare.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I guess obviously we're actually doing this show together. We're going to be at Sweetfest in Omaha, Nebraska.
Say it right, Adam.
Sweetstock. Sorry,
Sweetstock.
We're going to be at Sweetstock, which is Sweetstock, which is like the Ibiza of America. It's you know, it's pretty crazy. It's a pretty wild place, you know. I don't know if people know about Omaha, but that's where Girls Gone Wild kind of originally started. It's pretty insane. So my question for you is, when you go in front of these crowds right now, do you still get nervous? Like when you go host, perform in front of people, do you ever get nervous? Do you still get nervous?
As crazy as it sounds, I kind of do get more nervous now, because before I had a group of guys that I trusted with everything I do. They know me, I know them. They know that sometimes they have to shut me up or tell me to stop doing certain things and not be that idiot that I'm being. So now it's like, you know, like I said, was just talking about being a solo artist. It's like, now it's like all on me, and nobody's telling me to shut up. They're actually going, no, keep going. That's hilarious. This sucks, you know, but, so there's a little bit of nervousness, but it's still fun, and it's still, you know, every people don't go to shows to not like the artist. You know, it's like comedy shows, any kind of show. You don't go, God, I hope it sucks. You know, so you're always kind of rooting for whoever's up there. And as long as you know that, and know that you're all in the same boat, we're all here to have fun, you just keep the party going, I guess.
So you're hosting, but is there any band there that's because it's got a pretty damn good lineup that you're excited to say? I know Shaggy's going to be there, TLC, 98 Degrees, Mark McGrath, so and so. Is there anyone that you're like, I can't wait to see them perform?
All of them. I mean, that's the generation we're in. You know, there's so many. TLC. They're amazing. I love them to death. 98 Degrees are really good friends, and, you know, I consider them, you know, almost brothers, so they're fun. Uptown, all the bands that are there. Mark McGrath, I actually did a show with him not too long ago, and we just sat backstage and just talked music. You know, he's like a music dictionary, and, you know, I feel like I know a lot about music, and then talking to him, I'm like, I gotta up my game.
He's good. He's like a story.
But, you know, so there's he made sure he told me he won the Rock and Roll Jeopardy, like 3-time champion or something like that. So he made it a point to let me know that. But, you know, it's just fun to see all of us where we are in our careers and what we're doing and still out there performing. And, you know, you see the audience going, oh man, when they do waterfalls, I'm going to lose it. Or, you know, when he does fly, I'm going to go nuts. And it's so reminiscent that, you know, you're in this group of elite artists with these people that, you know, it's a cool respect, but fun time that I just want to see them all.
And when we see you in person, are you going to pretend like you don't know us now?
1000%. Not even a question.
Well, listen, just make sure you check your shower, because I'll be hanging in the shower once you check into your hotel room.
Yeah, unless you see me talking to my manager first, going, who are these weird guys again that are acting like they know me? Yeah, no. I've got a memory like a goldfish.
Hey, we have one last thing that we want to do with you. We have a game that we play that's called Fan Question Roulette. So fans of the podcast will send us questions for celebrities, not knowing which celebrities coming on the podcast. We haven't seen them ourselves. Our producer Pat will play one right now for you, and we'll just see what the hell the question is. Are you down?
Yeah. Do I have to answer it?
You got to answer.
Or are we just listening to the question?
No.
All right. Perfect.
No, we'll have you answer it. All right, Pat, play us our first question.
What's the story of your first crush?
Ooh, my first crush. Ooh, geez. I don't know. There were so many billions. My first crush was probably when I realized what girls were, my 4th year of college. No. Probably when I was in high school. 8th grade. We had an 8th grade dance, and there was this girl, Rachel, that I was in love with, and I bought her a corsage for an 8th grade dance and brought it in, and she's like, why are you giving me a corsage, you little nerd? Aren't you in 6th grade? And I'm like, no, I'm in your class. It's me, Chris. Yeah, so I was a late bloomer. I grew up I don't think I really grew up until after high school. So everybody always thought I was grades behind them. So anytime I'd have a crush on a girl, they always thought I was like grades behind them. I'm like, I'm actually older than you. But yeah, so it's probably Rachel.
Well, I can tell you Rachel's kicking her own ass right now, 30 years later, going, what the hell was I thinking? I should have accepted the corsage.
I still talk to her. And she's still like, yeah, there's still no way I would ever go out with you. You're a nerd.
That's so awesome. All right, Pat, let's play one more.
What's up, guys? This is Sasha, and I just wanted to know what your strangest family tradition is.
Ooh, strangest family tradition. We weren't very a traditional family because, you know, I grew up in a single family home. I have 4 younger sisters. We moved around all the time. But I would have to say maybe our, I don't know. My mom used to love like teaching us songs and making us all do different parts and different songs. And that's kind of how I learned harmonies and things like that. And just kind of being like, you know, okay, on this song, it's a Simon and Garfunkel song. Chris, you're going to do Paul Simon. Molly, you're going to do Garfunkel. My sister Kate, you could just dance or whatever. But I think it was all the weird songs that she would have us do and sing and perform.
Well, it sounds like a fun thing to grow up in, a family that's having fun and a good time. Chris, thank you, buddy.
For sure.
I know that we are running out of time with you. We're really excited to see you at the end of the month at Sweetstock. And if anyone's listening right now that are in the Omaha area, it's August 28th. In Nebraska. Well, it's actually not on the Omaha side, right? I forget where it's on the other side. But Sweetstock, it's going to be a great time. Lots of big bands. Chris is going to be hosting, and we are very excited to see you there, buddy.
Yeah, we'll be moshing.
Yeah, I can't wait. We'll grab a beer. Or something.
What a nice guy, dude.
Super nice guy, like down to earth.
So down to earth.
Just fun. And, you know, I got to imagine he's probably sick of talking about NSync for the last, 20 years, but he sat through all of our questions, and I really greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's tough not to talk about it, and I get it, but it is interesting. And I think at some point you just have to, kind of realize like you did mean a lot to a lot of people, and it's a big part
Still
of your
do.
life
You
and our
say
lives
it in the past, but like people still, I mean, NSYNC is still like they still play that stuff on the radio, man.
all the time. Do they play it in bars? They play it in clubs. Like those are hits. Those are huge songs. So it's hard, and just very humble about what he's done. And he mentioned kind of quietly that he was just in Montana with Justin. I was like, I kind of want to be like, so what's his house like in Montana? It was like, how's Justin
Well,
like?
you know what I liked about that is I feel like Justin gets a bad rap in the media for like almost like he just abandoned the band and like kind of like he became the superstar and left them all behind. And I like that. No, they're still close and they don't need to publicize it, but they're still close and they still hang out. And Chris's son knows him as Uncle Justin. Like I liked that kind of human side of it.
Yeah, I'm curious though about JC. I'm curious if JC still has is still close to the guys. I feel like he's the one that's kind of very quiet,
Mm-hmm.
at least in the media. So I'm curious what the relationship is with JC. I know Joey a little bit. Joey's a great guy, just like a good personality, good energy. He's a guy like Chris who embraces and embraces his past and kind of talks about it. But Joey's actually doing very well hosting. Like he's just he works a lot with the Impractical Jokers, and Lance obviously is doing a lot of hosting. He's a podcast. So JC's the guy I'm actually curious about. He's had some great songs. I mean, but yeah, just interested in him, but
You think he's actually going to talk to us when we see him at Sweetstock?
No. I don't think he'll remember, but I think if he sees us hanging out Mark McGrath and he sees our past and we act like we should dress like Wayne and Garth and walk around, show our past to everyone. Like, where are they? Like, that'd be like, and like, oh my God, these are Wayne and Garth of Nebraska. This is crazy.
So good. And by the way, it was Iowa. You remember how I couldn't remember where the concert is? So it's technically over the river. It's not in Omaha. It's in Iowa. Like
Brother, I had no idea.
Right on the other side, like a walk bridge across.
When we get there, you're the one taking me everywhere. I don't know where we're going.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm like California guy. What the hell? I'm going to be like, I don't know.
I didn't even know Iowa was on the other side. I was like, oh, wait, we're going to Iowa? I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was like, whoa, okay. I'm just.
Do you think people are gonna just like boo us off stage when we get up there?
They're not gonna know who we are. But listen, it's I'm gonna be some creep. That's all it is. But guys, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Again, the best thing you do to support this podcast is leave a review. Go on iTunes, 5-star only. Say a few kind words, and actually, if you do that, we will read your review live on air, mention you, give you a shout out. If we see you in person, we'll give you a hug. And if you're a guy, slap you on the ass. If you're a girl, give you a fist pound because it's 2021. There is, we do have to be fair.
fair.
Yeah, we got to be fair. We got to be nice. We got to play nice. There's a video portion of this podcast. Make sure you check it out on YouTube. If you want to see the video of this interview. And you can find us.
Head on over to our website, HollywoodRaw.com. They built us this beautiful website. It's got merch. It's got links. It's got a little bit of everything. And full stories, transcripts, everything. So just dive on in. It's there for you. If you obviously want to be a part of any of our fan question roulettes, send us a video of yourself, say your name, and DM it to us on our IG page. That is the best way to get it to us. Leave us a message. We got a phone line up, 833-HWR line. We want to hear from you guys. We like having you a part of the show. And I feel like celebs really do enjoy the fan question roulette. So send them in.
Yes. You can find me at Adam Glyn, Glyn. You can find Dax Holt at DAXHOLT. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching Hollywood Raw. See that little thumbs up thing? Tap that, like it, leave a review, and subscribe to our channel.